Okay guys, now ever since I got my Bantam Mgl from Japan and did the few videos I've done on it, the most popular question that I've received, or questions I should say, are how does the Bantam cast versus the other MGLs, the Chronarch MGL, and of course the Metanium Mgl. And I think this question is asked because, as I pointed out before, the Bantam is priced exactly in the middle of these two. So, you know, someone with a Chronarch MGL may be looking to upgrade to a Bantam, or someone with a Metanium may be looking to get a Bantam as a cheaper alternative. So before I get hot and heavy into the measured field testing, I thought I'd go out on the water and do a more important video, and that's do a side-by-side casting and pitching comparison between the Bantam versus these two reels. Now, just to keep in mind, my Metanium is a JDM model with the shallow 70 capacity spool, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Metanium does outperform the Bantam, but the Chronarch MGL does have the same capacity and a little bit slightly heavier spool, but as we see, the line guide is positioned farther away from the spool to decrease that friction angle during casting. So will that come into play in the real world on the water? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be casting and pitching a variety of lures, all the way from a 1/4 ounce square bill to a 3/4 ounce jig and trailer, and a couple of lures in between as well, and see if I can find any kind of real world difference between the two. And I think I'm going to throw in a spinner bait to see if I can see a difference in cranking power, even though the gear ratios on these three reels are not the same. The Metanium and the Chronarch have the extra high gear 8 gear ratios, while the Bantam has the lower 7 gear ratio. So I'll see you guys on the water. Okay guys, I am out here on the water, and I'm going to start out with the Bantam versus the Chronarch MGL. And I have the same rod, the Shimano Convergence 6'8" medium heavy fast action, and the lure rating is 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce for both rods, because they are exactly the same. And what I did was I already pre-set up the reels for the 1/4 ounce square bills, and for the purpose of this test I am going to leave all 4 brakes on for all 3 reels and just adjust the outside or spool tension as needed. And I've already preset that up before I started recording. Okay, so let's start off with the Bantam, and we are throwing this little Lucky Craft 1/4 ounce square bill, and I have the spool tension set to just minimize the side-to-side play. All 4 brakes are on inside. I just want to double check. Oop, actually 3 brakes were on inside. And the external dial is on 1. So let's see what this thing can do with a 1/4 ounce square bill. Now, I was impressed with it earlier when I did the on the water impressions, and let me tell you, this is continuing to impress me even now with this little lightweight lure. But I don't know if you guys can see, but there's this little metal sign out there. Hopefully the GoPro will pick it up. There's a little metal sign. I'm going to use that as a distance marker, and I'm going to stay exactly where I'm at, and we're going to see who casts this 1/4 ounce lure the best. If I can get these damn hooks from tangling up. Okay guys, here we go. Okay, hopefully you guys can see where that landed. It probably landed a good 10 yards past that sign. So I'm looking at probably at least 100 foot. And the square bill is barely loading up this rod. All right, let's try one more. Whoa, that went way out there. That had to be close to 40 yards right there. Now I chose this spot to test because these trees cast a dark shadow over the water and it makes it a lot easier to see where the lure lands. Okay, let's try another cast here. Okay, this Bantam is no joke. You wouldn't think a super heavy duty reel, a super solid reel like this would be able to cast well, but of course casting is all in the spool, and Shimano gives you that lightweight MGL spool which gives it the ability to do so. Let's do one more. Okay, I can't wait to get this out on the field to do some actual measurements. Okay, let's do one more. Damn, I don't want to get hung up in that tree. This wind is kind of taking this square bill. Trying to get it to where the lure will land somewhere in alignment with that sign so you guys can see better. Let's try again. Yeah, that's going a good 20 foot past that sign, it looks like. Of course, it's hard to tell from this angle exactly how far past the sign. I'm going to do some sidearm casting. And guess what? If you go down to 3 on the brakes, you'll get even farther distance than this. Okay, now retrieving this little square bill, of course, is no issue. Wow. Oh, crap. Okay. Time for the Chronarch. Now, it's actually been quite a while since I've actually casted the Chronarch. I think the last MGL battle, oh shit, was the last time I casted the Chronarch. But we have the brakes set exactly the same. I knew that, made sure there was 4 on inside. Spool tension set to minimize the side-to-side play, and external dial to 1. Okay. Chronarch MGL, 1/4 ounce square bill. External dial to 1, 4 brakes on inside. effortless cranking this thing in. Okay, let's do some overhead casting. Damn, that went probably 15 foot past that sign. I don't know if you guys remember, but the Bantam Mgl spool is just a little bit lighter by a few grams than the Chronarch spool. Okay. So what do you guys think? That the distances look about equal? I think the Bantam may have just maybe a couple more feet when it comes down to this lightweight lure. So that's impressive distance for a square bill of a 1/4 ounce. It's going probably 40 yards. Okay, I would say the distances are about the same. Like I said, maybe the Bantam may have a couple of feet here and there every other cast or so. I can tell you this, the retrieve, it is a little different. The Bantams retrieve, they're both smooth as butter, but the Bantam has a very mechanical precision to it that the Chronarch does not have. The Chronarch has a very solid, silky, buttery smooth retrieve, but the Bantam is very mechanical to smoothness, mechanical and precise. It's closer to the Conquest, in my opinion. Okay, so there's really not much in it. We're not going to see a true separation of these two that we can tell until I get them out on the measuring field. So let's switch the lures up to a heavier one. Okay guys, I've tied on a topwater lure, the JACKALL Mudsucker 110. Now weigh this on the scale, it weighs just a hair over a 1/2 ounce. And a little change in plan, I actually changed the internal brakes on the Bantam to 3 on and a little bit, probably about 1.5 on the external dial. Now when I was setting the reel up, I forget what setting it was at, but I casted a cast that literally came 5 feet from hitting the other side of the other bank over there. I almost had to stop the lure or it would get hung up in those trees. But I couldn't really replicate it after that, so take it for what you will. So we got 3 brakes on inside and about 1.5 on the external dial. Shit, I know that had to have went over 50 yards. And there's probably a little bit more distance if I wanted to fool around with the brakes. But yeah, I don't have time for that. And let me tell you, the worst thing about these on the water and in the field casting tests when you're throwing these long casting lures is having to reel these damn lures back in. Where's your arm out? Okay, one more overhead cast. Okay, hopefully you guys are taking note of where this lure lands each time. Man, that almost hit the other side. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay. Fortunately, on my backswing, the lure hit the side of the hill and caused this. Luckily, the lure didn't break off, because that's a $15 lure right there. Okay, guys. Okay, seeing a little bit of overrun towards the back end of the cast. So I either need more spool tension or maybe turn up the dial to 2, see if that solves it. So let's turn it up to 2. Yeah, that solved it. Okay, so what I'm also going to do here, since we have this top water on, is I'm going to work the lure. This is like a spook type bait that walks on the water side to side. And you can feel the weight of this bantam trying to do that. So let's go to the Chronarch. Okay, I got the same JACKALL Mudsucker 110 in a different color. Same brake settings. I had to go to 2 on the external dial and 3 on inside. Yeah, that went a long way. Okay, yeah, you can definitely tell that 1 ounce difference between the two in weight when you're working your wrist to walk the dog on these kind of lures. So definitely top water because of the pure weight factor, even though the Bantam is smaller. I would pick this Chronarch. Looks like they cast about the same distance wise. Maybe the Bantam has a slight edge, just a slight one. But working this lure, definitely the advantage goes to the Chronarch because it is over 1 ounce lighter in weight, and you can really feel it in your wrist. Okay. Man, that went about 50 yards. Okay, one thing I can notice when I'm burning these lures in, I think that difference in smoothness is attributed to this being made out of a composite, while the Bantam, of course, is all aluminum. And you can feel a little bit more vibration in the Bantam than with this Chronarch. I am almost dumping all the line off of this. This is 10-pound mono, by the way. Okay, so no real difference as far as distance in the 1/4 ounce square bill and this 1/2 ounce top water. So let's switch to some jigs and plastics and see if I can tell a difference in pitching. Okay guys, I switched up to a jig and a trailer. Now I don't know what this weighs, probably around 3/4 of an ounce. And I've turned on all the brakes on inside, left the external dial on 3, kept the spool tension loose. So pitching is not really a distance thing, it's more of an accuracy thing.
So I don't know how you're going to gauge what real pitch is better, other than maybe how easy it is to get out, you know, pitch out to whatever distance you need. But here we go. I'd say that went about, what, 25 foot, maybe 30. Okay, so it seems to be able to hit the same spot regularly. Of course, I can kind of lob it out there to get a little bit more distance, but if you're just pitching around, this thing definitely do the job. Of course, people pitch different. I'd say that's going, you know, average of about 10 yards or 30 foot. Now I would drag this jig on the bottom, but the problem is, well, I'll go ahead and do it to see if I can feel any kind of difference in frame sensitivity. Let me pitch this out there. Let it hit the bottom. And of course, these rods are far from an NRX. So I don't feel like I'm going to feel much of anything, but let's see. Okay, I can definitely feel it's lumpy down there. I can feel a little bit of a sensation coming through. Huh. Okay, let's drag this thing. So this is all mud, so I can feel that it's mud. I can definitely feel the jig. Okay. Let's put this on the Chronarch now. Okay guys, I've got the jig tied on the Chronarch. Let's see if this thing can pitch any farther. Yeah, it looks about the same to me. Brake settings the same. All the shoes on inside, 3 on the external dial. That's really no surprise because these spools are almost the same weight. So when you're doing a pitching application where distance is not that important, it's not gonna show that much. But, you know, I have no problem hitting the same spot. A couple more pitches and then I'm going to drag this jig on the bottom. See if I can feel any kind of difference in sensitivity. It looks like the Chronarch may have a couple of feet on the Bantam. I have to review the footage. So they may be important for you guys who like to long bomb your pitches. Kind of an oxymoron, but Okay, I'm going to drag this jig. Ooh, I felt something. I think the fish was striking it. Something struck at the jig there, but dragging it on the bottom, I don't really feel much. That's weird. Let's try again. Okay, there might be a rock out there. Huh. Something weird on the bottom there. It seems like the Chronarch picked it up while the Bantam kinda didn't. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm feeling something with the Chronarch that I don't feel with the Bantam. Something is coming through the line that I did not feel with the Bantam. I may have to put this back on the Bantam. Yeah, I'm feeling it through the rod and not really the reel. Okay, I'm gonna put this jig back on the Bantam and see if I can feel that difference. Okay. Okay, I'm feeling lumps down there, but it definitely is not as sharp feeling overall as the Chronarch. There's definitely a difference there, dragging this jig on the bottom. It almost felt with the Chronarch that I was hitting some twigs or something down there. You can definitely feel the jig bumping into stuff. Nope. The Bantam feels just like before. You can feel the lumps of the bottom, but you don't feel those, almost feels like little taps that you felt with the Chronarch. This is it's got to be the reels because the rods and the line are exactly the same. Now you can feel a few taps. I felt a few little taps there. I don't think it's fish. Could be little panfish pecking at the bait, but yeah, I could definitely tell. I could feel more with that Chronarch. Okay guys, time to mount on the daddy being the Metanium Mgl, and we'll see what's what.